Shalom. This video is entitled The Plagues That Are Coming Over the Earth in 2020. And we'll take a look at the plagues that are affecting Australia at this time. We know that the British murdered and killed thousands of the Aborigines, the Aboriginal people on that land. So the British, Idumean Romans took that land by blood. I mean, they killed the people and took the land. So they're being plagued right now. And let's just take a look at this video here.
As you can see, it's nuked. It's just gone. This isn't even our fire season. This is not our fire season. Next month is really when we bloody should be thinking about it. Towards the end of 2019, Australia was hit by the most devastating bushfire season the country has ever seen. By mid-January, an estimated 10 million hectares had been incinerated, an area larger than the 2019 California fires and Amazon fires combined. Dozens of people have lost their lives, thousands of homes have been destroyed, and estimates suggest that more than 1 billion animals have been killed. On New Year's Eve, the fire front tore through southern New South Wales, devastating a number of small towns and communities and displacing hundreds of people overnight. A week after the fires hit, we visited the neighbouring towns of Quorma and Cobargo, about 380 kilometres south of Sydney, to see how people are faring in the aftermath of this disaster.
Deafening, the stench worse, but locals are powerless to get rid of them unless they break the law.
This is like from a horror movie.
And it was like a bat tornado over the town. That's how bad it was. It just seems to me that every bat in Australia is now in Ingham.
It's a town under siege. Overrun by bats that outnumber the population by hundreds of thousands.
It just stinks. It stinks.
Infiltrating every corner of the town, putting lives at risk.
What was your biggest fear when you got scratched?
Am I gonna die? Like, what's gonna happen?
Get rid of the bats. We've had enough. It's been going on for way too long.
It's mid-morning in Ingham in North Queensland, and in the centre of the normally quiet town, there's a cacophony of screeches.
The problem that we're having is that we're seemingly being influxed by more and more animals, and the roost cannot handle it.
The botanical gardens are overrun with bats. Every inch of every branch is covered with them. Mayor Raymond Jayo says they've now reached biblical plague proportions.
It's a nightmare. It is a nightmare. It's truly disgusting.
Some of the trees are so full of bats, they're constantly breaking from the sheer weight of them. The bus stop, footpaths, even the town's cenotaph are covered in bat feces. But at night, it's far worse.
This is what locals here have to put up with every day. There's hundreds of thousands of bats flying around. The noise is horrendous and the smell is putrid and lingers long after the bats have flown away for the evening. This can last up to an hour and is repeated every morning when they return.
If you come up here and had a look and had to try to live in this area, it would drive you insane.
As the colony grows, so do concerns for locals' welfare. The bats have recently moved into trees at the local kindergarten and primary school. Adam and Suzanne Carilla are born and bred in town. Their two daughters, Ella and Aden, go to the school.
We love our little town and we love our school, and it's just not okay because I've been very stressed out about it.
They're now part of a growing group of parents considering pulling their children out of school for fear of them getting sick or being scratched by a diseased bat.
They're not stepping a foot in that ground until something is that we know is being done.
Sometimes you just feel like a little kid's just going to throw a rock at them and stir them up and you might get scratched.
The problem here in Ingham has become so bad, emergency helicopters can no longer land here at the hospital while the bats are in flight, with the main colony just a few hundred metres down the road. Recently, a chopper was forced to do laps of the town until the bats cleared.
During these heat events, when they're dropping dead, they're not just dying in the gardens, they're dying wherever they're flying at the time.
Raquel Coco is the president of the local Chamber of Commerce. She says businesses are forced to clean up after the bats every morning. Tourism is also taking a hit.
If this was happening at Parliament House, somebody would have come up with a solution by now.
You see, the bats are considered a protected species under state law, meaning there's little council can do to try and move them on. They can use non-lethal methods like smoke, noise and lights that can't be done when the bats are breeding.
Because there's 4 different species and because they all have young at different times, there's hardly a window of opportunity.
Nearly 250 kilometres away, Charters Towers knows the struggle. The local park is now permanently closed.
So as you can see, Australia is being plagued with bats and fire. Well, let's look into what's happening over in Africa, and they're being plagued with locusts.
Causing chaos in East Africa. Some experts are raising the possibility that the staggering number of locusts are causing chaos in East Africa. Some experts are raising the possibility that the gigantic swarms could make their way to China if the region fails to get a handle on the outbreak. For more on this and other news from around the world, we turn to our Yoon Jung-min at the News Center. Jung-min, tell us more.
Well, sure, Simon. East Africa has been suffering from hundreds of thousands of desert locusts for months. The overwhelming number of insects are wreaking havoc on crops and pasture there. Experts in China say it's less likely the swarms move all the way to China now, but have raised the possibility that the country could be hit by a wave of the insects if the outbreak isn't brought under control by the summer. The swarms have already spread to South Sudan. Sudan is already facing hunger, and the UN Food Agency has warned of a more acute food crisis in East Africa because of the swarm. Kenya, Somalia, and Ethiopia are reporting their worst infestations in decades. Experts say spraying pesticides from sky is the most effective way to combat the swarms, but unfortunately, countries in the region don't have the right resources. The UN body says the locusts are breeding so fast that numbers could grow 500-fold by June. It estimates there are about 360 billion locusts in the region and is calling on the international community for help.
Okay, so you see that Africa has been plagued with the locusts, and the locusts could be headed toward China. This locust infestation started in Yemen, and it's now reached Sudan, Ethiopia, and it's headed now possibly toward China. And we know that China right now is being plagued with the coronavirus, so that'll be a double dose of plagues on China. Okay, so let's look at what the effects could be for America and the actual economic cost, or what it could do to us.
To clothes and cars. Many American staples, of course, are still made in China, but the deadly coronavirus outbreak is causing a huge supply chain stutter.
China is responsible for driving around a fifth of global economic growth. So the fact that we're seeing factories shut down, consumers staying at home and not able to spend money, that all means that we can expect to see the global economy also take a hit.
Despite an ongoing trade war, China is still the United States' largest trading partner. But American businesses and consumers are now starting to see the coronavirus ripple effect. On Monday, Apple became the first major U.S. company to announce it won't meet its revenue projections for this financial quarter. China makes 80% of the world's smartphones and tablets, and iPhone production has fallen victim to the outbreak. outbreak. Over 1 million Amazon sellers who depend on factory workers in China for their small business marketplaces are now facing serious inventory shortages as well. And apparel companies are bracing for a financial hit and significant delivery delays. Under Armour's CEO telling CNBC he's expecting a $60 million loss for the start of the year. Cars are not doing any better. Many Chinese auto plants, including factories run by Tesla, Ford, and Nissan, have all shut down. And as goods bound for the U.S. remain stuck in Chinese docks, analysts say shoppers might start seeing items missing from big box store shelves as early as April. For consumers fearing packages from China could get them sick, the CDC says coronavirus is spread through respiratory droplets and generally has poor survivability on surfaces, although there is more to learn.
You have to be within 3 to 6 feet of an actively infected, coughing, sneezing person to actually catch the infection.
But the Chinese government is telling banks there to disinfect cash before giving it to the public. Meanwhile, industries like travel and tourism are bracing for impact. Nearly 3 million Chinese tourists visit the U.S. every year, adding $35 billion to the U.S. economy. California, which has a high volume of Chinese tourists every year, could lose $1 billion in revenue this year alone. And image.
So as you can see, the plagues are sent, and who can turn them back? Let's look at 2nd Esdras, chapter 16, verses 1. It says, "Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children, and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent upon you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? May any man drive away a hungry lion in the woods, or may anyone quench the fire in the stubble when it has begun to burn? May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer? The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away?" So as we can see, the plagues are being sent. We got Australia being plagued with the bats. They're being plagued with fire. We got 1 billion animals that have been lost in Australia. We got the coronavirus. They have no answer to it. It's spreading everywhere, all across the whole world. So with that, I say Shalom. This is the Sabbath day, February the 22nd. So you can keep a gauge on the time period as these plagues continue to increase. And with that, I say Shalom and have a good day.